welcome to the Momversation Club, the podcast born out of the idea that every mom needs a tribe. I'm Claire Strong.
And I'm Christina Struckmeyer. We're two moms just like you, navigating the chaotic, challenging, and often isolating world of motherhood.
Yeah, and it's said that it takes a village to raise a child, but we want to know where the F is the village.
It's a question that resonates with so many of us who find ourselves raising children, managing careers, and trying to maintain our identities, often with a sense of isolation.
But we're here to remind you that you're not alone. The Momversation Club is your village, a place where you feel valued, appreciated, and understood.
We believe by sharing our experiences, successes, and struggles, we can create a virtual village for all you moms out there.
So join us every week for an honest, raw, and relatable discussion about all aspects of being a mom, including the stuff that you just can't tell anyone else about.
So if you've ever asked yourself where the F is the village, then you've found your tribe. Let's get into it.
Hey Christina, how's your week been?
Hey Claire, we've been doing good. All fall festivities and keeping busy over here on the schedule.
Yeah, because this is a busy time of year for you on the farm as well, isn't it?
Yeah, we're in the thick of harvest. So my husband, as you know, but for the listeners, my husband's farming rice, and we are in the thick of it. And we're kind of a smaller family farm. So when it comes to the harvest time, where we get on the big machine and kind of pull the rice up, it's just us, just him. So we've been grabbing the little one and joining him in the tractor.
Oh, that's so cute. I've seen some lovely photos of you. Maybe you could share those on our Instagram and people
Yeah.
can check them out because they are cute. Well, I'm glad everyone's well your end.
How about you? How are things on your side of the woods over there?
You know, just juggling stuff as mums do, juggling work and the girls. And I swear, honestly, Christina, as the girls get older, it's harder work. I'm sorry. I know you've got littles right now, and I hate to break this to you, that it doesn't get any easier. It kind of changes, but it's not any easier at
Yeah, I
all.
know. I've been thinking of you because I keep seeing on my social media everybody's like homecoming outfits and like the clothing is getting smaller and smaller every year. I was like, oh
Well,
my gosh.
so the funny thing is, my standards have dropped, and people with teen girls, particularly that are listening to this, you'll get this. So when my daughter started high school last year, I had dress standards for her. Now it's just get the hell to school. If you want to wear a bikini, that's fine by me. I just need you at school. So it's gone from looking like like respectable to I actually don't care anymore. If you want to go out in your bra, that's absolutely fine. Just get to school. And
I feel like that's just survival, Claire. I feel like that was
I
a
mean,
survival decision.
and I have this thing where it's like pick your battles. That's
Yeah.
my motto. Pick your battles. And when you have a 15-year-old, that's just not a battle I'm prepared to fight anymore. I'm I've been worn down. So God knows what my standards are going to be for my 13-year-old. I mean, she can, it may be a case that she can just turn up like naked and it's fine as long as she's cool. Who knows? I hope I don't get there, but
Well, we'll see how that goes, Claire. I'll try to keep you honest. But speaking of battles, I know you and I have been talking about like our mom wins and our mom fails this weekend, and we'd love to introduce that idea because I think that for so many of us, like we're all just flying by the seat of our pants,
oh
and
yeah.
sometimes you have good weeks and sometimes they're not so great, you know, and so. I thought it'd be fun. You and I were talking about like having our audience like share some of their stuff, and then maybe we share ours. We'll go first. You know, we'll keep it easy on you guys.
Yes. So we're going to have this new feature called Win of the Week and Fail of the Week. So Mum Win and Mum Fail of the Week. So Christina, do you want to start us off? I'm very intrigued to
Sure.
hear about your win.
Okay, we'll go win first. Keeping it
Yeah, do win
positive. I
first.
like this. I
Oh,
like it.
yes, positive. Why not?
Yeah. Well, I think my win of the week is, like I mentioned, my husband's in harvest. So I'm like flying solo over here. And my mother-in-law is just the busiest 75-year-old woman you ever have met. She's always flying somewhere or going somewhere. So she's not around right now. And so I had the task of so many errands yesterday. And I had a list of 4 things that I wanted to get done. It was like, go to this store, mail this at the post office, do this, do that. And I am proud to say that even though I was sweating by the end of it from holding my 26-pound toddler, we got it all done. The checklist was completely like checked off, and I haven't had that happen in God knows how long. So I feel so accomplished. I could ride this high the whole week.
I love it. Well, so my win's a little bit similar to yours. I've got to say, it took me a lot longer to think of my win of the week than it did to think of my fail of the week. So my win of the week is kind of similar to yours, Christina, actually. This morning, I had such a busy schedule before we even got to filming our podcast. And I managed to get 2 kids off to school, sort out 3 dogs, and take 3 meetings before and wash my hair. I mean,
Oh,
I
wow.
need to, I mean,
Wow.
and put some makeup on so my wing gets bigger. So, yeah, just starting my day off, I started early and I managed to get everything done just like you that I set out to do this morning. And that's a win because let's
Huge
face
win.
it, for me anyway, 8 times out of 10, my schedule, my day gets railroaded by something. There's some crisis, there's some drama, there's some unexpected something or other, whether it's to do with the kids or just, the dogs or life or work or whatever. And so I was able to actually tick off those things without any, terrible, dramatic thing happening. So that was my win. But let's move on to the fails because, as I
Yeah, let's
said,
keep
I
ourselves
actually
like
have quite a
humble.
few. Yeah, let's bring our mood right back down. So what was your fail of the week?
Okay, so my fail of the week is during said errands. So funny,
Mhm.
win and fail in the same time. I don't know if listeners can relate, but my 13-month-old has like this thing about shoes. She does not want them on her feet. She
Yes,
hates shoes.
I
And
remember.
I am trying to get them on her because every time I don't have them on her, some little old lady goes by my little, buggy cart and is like, "Where's your shoes? Your mommy forgot your shoes." Like every time, never fails. So, anyways, I lost a shoe. That's my mom fail. I lost a
Oh,
shoe. It's somewhere in the WalMarts. And
oh
somewhere.
no.
So she went. She looked like a shoeless Joe at the Walmart, and then I thought, well, should I keep one on so people know I made an effort? But then I decided just to let her be barefoot.
That's so funny. Oh my God. And were they like special shoes? I mean, did you
No,
take
no, they were just like, I think they're from Walmart. I think they were Walmart shoes.
funny?
So we just,
I love.
she just doesn't like them on her feet. And it's pick your battles, like you said.
Well, I remember when even my youngest, in fact, both girls did this. They didn't like socks on their feet. They went through a stage because when we lived in England, they had to wear school uniform. Now in California, they don't because they're at a public school. But in England, uniform is generally standard. And so the socks that they had to wear for their uniform have got like a line down them. And oh
Mm.
my God, I could not get those socks on their feet, particularly my younger one. It was just ridiculous. So I hear you with the shoe thing because I had the same thing, but with socks.
Oh man, it's a sensory thing, I bet. But
I think it
anyways,
is. I think
it
it totally is.
it
I
was the best
remember
of times and
so
the
many.
worst of times this weekend, Claire. How about you? What's your fail? I need to feel a little bit better about myself.
Well, like I say, I actually couldn't decide which one to go with this morning because there have been so many. But yeah, my mum fail of the week really is my eldest daughter's phone like broke about a week ago, and I've been so busy with stuff with work and with them that I haven't done anything about it. And so this morning she said, "Mum, when is my replacement phone arriving?" To which I had to reply, yeah, I haven't done anything about it yet. So that's my mum fail because, it's been going on a week. I need to just get it done. I am, after this podcast, going to go to the shop and try and get it repaired. So, so that might be my win next time we meet, that I actually managed to get the phone situation sorted. So yeah, that's kind of my mum fail.
That's not too bad. I feel like,
Yeah,
among the many mom fails we can have, it sounds like everybody made it out like alive. So that's great.
I mean, yeah, everyone's alive and, everyone's in school this morning, which is another win. So, anywho,
For
but
sure.
we would like to know and hear about your wins and fails. So, please drop us a comment and just let us know, share what you're pleased about and proud about this week, and what maybe didn't go so well, because we're all in this together, and we need to cheer each other on when things are going good, and then commiserate with each other when things aren't going so well.
Absolutely. Oh man, I feel like my mom wins and fails have shifted so much in the last few years.
Yeah.
Today's topic actually lends itself to it because I know back when it was just me, it was when we were both single moms at one point. Those wins and those fails had so much more weight. I don't know about you, but I felt like when I had a win, it was like, whoa, I am really on top of it. And when I had a fail, I was like, oh no, I'm screwing my kids up.
Hey, listen, it's a really tough situation to be in. So let's get into this and talk
Yeah.
about it. Like you said, we were both single parents. How long were you a single parent for, Christina?
Not long. I kind of like fell head over heels for my husband and like got married fast. But like I went through my divorce in the beginning of COVID. So in 2020, like the very, very
Wow.
beginning.
Wow.
Um yeah, actually March. It was funny because we got locked in a house together for like I think 2, 3 weeks and we both looked at each other like, I don't
Oh
think
my
I
God.
don't think this is
So,
working very well.
so I heard that during COVID, that was something, that situation, that pressure cooker environment,
Yeah.
it was either make or break for a lot of couples. And
Yeah.
if the relationship was maybe on the rocks a little bit going into COVID, being holed up with someone that maybe is not the right person for you, that was a tough situation you were in.
Yeah, it was tough. And then, like, you rely on each other so heavily during that time because there was so much uncertainty of like what to do and how to proceed through regular day stuff. And so, anyways, we went through COVID, and then he moved out in a little bit in the beginning of summer. And then, yeah, I met my husband the following spring. So I was single for about a year, I would say, a single mom for about a year. What
Hmm.
about you,
So
Claire? How was your timeline?
okay, so yeah, I actually divorced from my husband when my girls were little. So my eldest would have been 3, and my youngest was 1. So that was tough, and I was a single parent until Sophia, my eldest, turned 10,
Mm,
and my youngest would have been 8. So I had a good chunk of time where I was a single parent. So 7 or 8 years really, and it's a really tough time. One thing I will say about it is, though, I mean, we'll talk about our struggles and how we navigated those, but I felt extremely empowered during
mm,
that time, because as difficult as everything was and as challenging as it was to get through the day, I felt empowered that I was doing this on my own, with no one else's help, whether it be financial or in a practical way, and that made me feel empowered. And that was right at the beginning of my 30s.
mm.
So, my 30s for me, I would say it was the decade where I really discovered myself. And I think being a single parent for all of those years really helped me to discover myself. And so I was on my own for quite a long time with my girls before meeting my now husband. So what for you during that year where you didn't have your husband now and you were a single parent, what did you find was the most challenging aspects of that time, Christina?
It was really interesting, and I don't know. My ex husband and I are good friends, so we can talk about this stuff a little openly. But
Yeah,
I don't know
just
if other
spoiler
women
alert.
can.
Sorry to interrupt. Spoiler alert. Christina and her ex-husband are literally couple goals. They're like co-parent couple goals. Not that you're a couple now, but you know what I mean.
No,
Co-parent.
co-parenting goals for
Oh
sure.
my God. So yeah, sorry to interrupt. Carry on, and
No, that's
we'll
okay. No, we are good friends. Like that was kind of the situation was we didn't hate each other. It was like the beginning of the pandemic. We went, wow, we just really don't work as like a married couple, but we're good friends. Maybe we should call it before things get really ugly. Like it was kind of this conversation we had. Um, but you'd mentioned like how did it go when you were going at it alone? And the reality is, and I think a lot of women can relate to this who might be in marriages that were similar, is it felt like not a lot changed because I had been living separately from him, like in the marriage. I was kind of without being single mom because I still had the resources and the availability of having that person there. for everything else, I was kind of relying on myself. And I kind of raised my daughter kind of with him as a supporting person who was there every once in a while, but I kind of made all the decisions. I did all of the transportation, all of the things. So it was a really calm shift for me to kind of go from, it actually felt better. Like you said, empowering. I felt like, well, at least I'm not relying on this person that I'm waiting for him to show up in this space. I'm not expecting anything. So now I can just move forward without that expectation, a partnership, and just do what I've been doing without having the hurt feelings that occur when you're not getting your needs met in that space.
Did you ever like weigh up the pros and cons of leaving, and particularly from your daughter's point of view? Because I know I did. I thought, am I doing the right thing for my kids? But then I knew that the situation was very toxic and that wasn't going to be a good thing for my girls,
Yeah.
especially being a mom to two girls. You've got two girls too. I think it's very important that we are a strong role model to our girls. And so I
Yeah.
was very, very, very aware that I needed to set a standard for them as to what is and what isn't acceptable in a relationship. And
Yeah.
so for me, there's a saying that I read. Well, I read this book. It's fantastic, actually. It's called The Rhinoceros Book of Success. So a little plug there, but I would highly recommend that book. And that book actually got me through the isolating years when I was a single parent. I used to reread it over and over. And there's a section in that book, and it talks about when it's okay to quit. So generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, don't quit things, stick things out, show commitment, and usually things will turn out. However, there is an exception, and the exception is, to use the analogy of a ship, when you are on the ship and the ship is sinking, then it's okay to quit. It's okay to get off the ship because you're going to go down with the ship. And so I use that analogy because that's how I felt in that particular time. That if I were to stay on that ship, I was going to go down with the ship. I was going to go down with this sinking ship. And that wasn't something that I was prepared to accept for myself or for my daughters. So it was hard. I used to top things off as well, just to add a bit of context. I was living in France at the time,
Yeah.
in the French wilderness, and I had
Yes.
no support network around me
Yeah.
whatsoever. So all my family were back in England. I had two very young children, and it was very extreme. And my friends would beg me to come back home. My family would say, "Claire, come back. You need support around you." But I needed to. I didn't have enough strength at that time, I felt, to go and face everyone back home. And so, as weird as it was, because it was very intense and very overwhelming for me, I felt that staying put for those few years in France, albeit on my own, was actually, it gave me space to heal and regain my strength. I used to tell myself, I likened it to the need to go into hibernation. I felt like if I could hit pause on life, that's what I needed to do at that moment, because I felt so tired and weak and not strong enough. But then fast forward a few years, I felt the exact opposite. I felt empowered, and that my little gains were actually big gains in the scheme of things. And so,
Yeah.
from a personal, a woman's standpoint, and from a parenting standpoint, I felt empowered across both fronts. So it's very interesting, very
Yeah,
interesting.
no, it's funny that you mentioned a sinking ship because I've often mentioned that. Like I've also referenced my past marriage as the Titanic, you know, and it's like sinking. And am I going to get on a lifeboat, or am I going to be the one that's playing the instruments as we go down, acting like it's not happening?
But
Like,
it's so true, Christina, and that analogy is perfect in those situations, actually. And it's not to say that marriages can't be worked through.
of
Some of
course, of
them can,
course.
some of them can, but some of them can't. And it sounds like
Mhm.
you and I were we came to the realization that that wasn't something that was going to happen, that could
Yeah.
happen, and that we wanted to happen ultimately.
Well,
Um,
for me, like you had mentioned, like did you have a checklist, or did you kind of like how did you decide? For me, I had a really clear vision of what it looked like to stay in my parents' marriage. So, and that's something that anybody who has eyes and ears could have seen. My parents had love for each other, but I don't know if there was like the same kind of love you'd find in a healthy marriage. And so
Mm.
they raised kids together and they did the best they can. And I'm so grateful for them individually as people. But I don't know that if I were a healed version of myself when I were my mother, that I probably would have stayed in that, you know? And so I had a clear look at what does it look like to stay and just have companionship, like just have a marriage where you're both raising children and you have love for each other as friends and like as partners, but like it's not a love based marriage where there's like the romance and the couple within the marriage. So I
So,
was able to say, okay, it's kind of like the Christmas Carol, like where you're like ghost of Christmas past. Like I could see that. And I talked to my mother about it after I left. And she expressed to me that she, you know, has a lot of, you know, kind of she admires me for making that decision for myself, because it's a decision that she doesn't think that she could have made in her circumstances, and I was able to, because of my financial stability, do that and just kind of have it be a decision about what do I want versus what do I have to do.
wow, that's so interesting that you spoke to your mum and your mum shared that with you, that she admired you. That's amazing, Christina. But you're right. I think it's sometimes more scary when you look. I did the same thing. I had a 10-year projection when I was looking at what my future, if I stayed in that situation, would have looked like. And I can't say that I wouldn't have even, gone down the affair route. That's not something that, I'll be honest. I mean, that's not something
Yeah.
that I ever would have wanted to have done. But like you, the elements of what I think are essential for a marriage were not there. There was a
Yeah.
lot going on. I won't go into detail about that. But I
Yeah,
didn't
respect
want
for
to
our
be the
partners and all,
people.
like we definitely want to keep it at
Oh,
that
for
space.
sure,
But
for
it's
sure. And
important, I think, for these listeners to hear like people don't talk about their divorce in this way. Like it's a
they
very
don't.
sensitive topic, and even when you have close mom friends, you'll hear the PC version of what went down versus like what were the lessons? Like if I'm someone who's facing this decision, what would I want to know? Like how would it look afterwards? How did it look for these guys?
Yeah, and of course, I would, anyone that was in this situation, I would say to them, make sure that you have thoroughly explored all options. Don't just quit. But
Yeah.
there is a point in time where if this is not working for you and you have tried therapy, you have, gone through the different
Did
scenarios
all the
that could
things.
potentially fix the situation, then, you need to find that confidence in yourself to maybe make a decision that works for you. Because let's face it, Christina, if you as a mum, if you are unhappy, you cannot be a good parent,
Yeah.
because your mental state is crucial to being able to parent your kids in the way that you want to. Otherwise, you're constantly stressed, anxious, you can inadvertently take it out on the kids. There are so many different things that if your mental health as a mum is not where it needs to be, is going to have a direct impact on my kid, on your kids.
Yeah.
It just, yeah.
Well, and it's like you described, like, I think that there is this mental task load that comes on you when you're in a marriage that is not working and you're trying
Mhm.
so hard to make this work. When you finally get the ability to put it down after you have exhausted all things and you've done all the stuff, there is a freedom in that of being able to just go, oh gosh, okay. Like that was wild. Let me just kind of pick up the pieces here. Um, you show up differently, and I don't know about you, but like I learned so much about myself and who I am as a person, and then also what parts of me in that marriage were like my doing, like what were the things that I needed to own and grow from, so that if I did get into another relationship, how would I show up differently and how would it not be the same conclusion?
And I love that. I really love that, Christina, that you had the emotional maturity to also look at yourself and to get therapy and to be the best person of yourself, so that if that person, did come along, and obviously he did,
Yeah.
you would be in a great space to embrace that relationship.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, little practical things of being a single parent, because I know one thing that used to really bother me At the time I got divorced, none of my friends had separated or got divorced. So I was the first one out of my friend group to get divorced. And I'd
Wow.
got these young kids. And what really used to get to me is you'd be at a birthday party or you'd be at some sort of event. It may even be a school event. And I was the only single parent there. All my
Mm.
other friends and all the other parents were there as a couple. And then it was me. And so yeah, that used to really upset me actually. And I used to wonder whether I was doing enough and that I'd let the girls down and that it was it was somehow a bad reflection on me that I was there as a single parent, even though actually, not that I want to inspire anyone to get divorced, but some of my friends who have divorced since I got divorced kind of said what your mum said to you, that they were in marriages that they really didn't feel that they should be in for whatever reason, toxic relationships. And I actually, my my divorce and me taking those steps inspired them. I don't know whether inspire is the right word, but gave them
The courage.
validation and some courage to do the same thing. And without exception, all those friends that I'm referring to now are all happily married, very happily married.
Yeah.
They've met their person and they're doing great. And so yeah, it's very interesting. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough. There's no easy answer. And we'd love to hear, your experiences. I know that this is a very personal subject, but how have you how have you found being a single parent, if you are a single parent or you have been in the past? What have been the challenges? What have been the rewards? And is it something that would you prefer to stay on your own now? There are some people that being on their own is empowering, and they don't want to get remarried. They don't want to find that long-term relationship again. They're quite happy, being them and being with their kids. So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what you guys think, and please share your experiences with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also just like share a little bit about like how you've changed or grown since then. Because, Claire and I could talk for days, and we probably will at a later date, about all of the shifts that have happened to us and all of the realizations and all of the self growth. And I'd love to hear like some positive out of it, because all you hear really a lot is negative stuff. But sometimes the ending of something that isn't working isn't a tragedy, it's a new beginning. And for so many people that I know, letting go of something that was, basically you're carrying a carcass around, it was long gone a long time ago. It allows both people to find what's truly like meant for them. And in the case of me and my ex-partner, he went on to find a great partner who I love, and she's so good with my daughter. And they're a great pair. They like the same things, they have a lot in common. And I went on to find, my husband, who I was not looking for. And he just showed up. So I think there's beauty in letting go of things. And I'd love to hear, like, what are some positive outcomes that have come from maybe something that people deem as ugly? Like, there's can be some beauty in it.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Momversation Club.
And if you've enjoyed today's show, please don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a review. Your support helps us reach even more moms and build a stronger village.
It certainly does. And just remember, we're here for you. And together, I promise, we'll figure out where the F is the village.
See you next time.
Bye.